So sweet. So very, very sweet. Very, very sweet, sweet, sweet. Once we get our hands on that gear, all our troubles are over.
Today on the Shadow of War channel, I want to talk about something quite interesting, and that is microtransactions in the game. So if you guys have just recently joined Shadow of War and you haven't been around for a long time, you would not know that microtransactions were in the game and were actually a part of the game when it initially launched. And this led to what is the failure of Shadow of War. Failure, quote unquote. But literally, if you look at it statistically speaking, Shadow of War was a failure by WB standards and by many game developer company standards, because of the fact being that it had microtransactions. And I don't really think that the microtransactions were bad. So let me give you a good example why. It was a single player game. The microtransactions really did not add anything crazy that gave you advantages over online play or anything along those lines. You know, it was mainly a single player experience. So I think the microtransactions were okay. The issue is when the game dropped. The game dropped in an area where microtransactions were seen as a big, huge, giant thing going on at the time, where everybody was negative about it. And the entire game was criticized multiple times for microtransactions and was given bad reviews by a lot of people for microtransactions. If you look outside of microtransactions, it was given really amazing reviews, but a lot of people talked negative about the microtransactions. A lot of people didn't want to touch the game due to microtransactions because of certain reasons. The other thing with Shadow of War was the tribes. So of course we got the tribes that were added as DLC, and that added to the whole microtransactions controversy, even though it was DLC, which microtransactions and DLC are two separate things, by the way, just to let you know. However, it added to that controversy. Why did it add to that controversy? Well, pretty much basically, people believe that a tribe could have been added into the game via an update. And while I do agree with that, and I do stand by that, they didn't cost insane amounts of money. We're not talking about today's price of microtransactions. We're not talking about literally the fact being of, oh, hey, guess what? If you want to buy this tribe, it's like $30. And that's literally in today's microtransaction prices. There are people running around with skins, with things in games that are costing $25 to $30, basically the price of an indie game on the scene. And I think Shadow of War faltered a lot because of that. Shadow of War could have been a way bigger game. Shadow of War could have been like one of the greatest, in terms of like sales, could have done way better, and one of the greatest selling games for WB. But because of the microtransactions, that was faltered. Microtransactions were then removed out of the game about a year into the game. But by then, it didn't really matter, because all WB really looks at is basically the launch sales of the game. And the launch sales of the game were down from their expectations. Well, I wonder why. Microtransactions play a part of that. So for people who didn't experience microtransactions, there was your Mirian as your currency, and there was another currency. That other currency you could buy, and that would go towards the loot chest. That would go towards, you could purchase different abilities and stuff like that, but mainly the loot chest. So a lot of people saw it as pay to win, even though technically it really wasn't. And the reason why it wasn't is because Shadow of War is a single player game. Loot chests in a single player game, first of all, that's controversy on itself. Number one. Well, it was back then. The second thing on top of it was, how is it pay to win if it's a single player game? And then you bring in the multiplayer aspect of like overlords and all this and all that. And to be honest, none of that really mattered, because at the end of the day, if a player is good enough, they're going to beat even somebody who bought a chest that had really good Orduks in it, or Ologs, or anything. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about the microtransaction conspiracy thing with the game. What did you guys think about it if you experienced it? And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.